Welcome to Halitics. I'm Hal, of course, and with me is my great friend, longtime friend, David Cobb. David, thanks so much for joining us this day, this 10th day, this Easter Monday.
Well, thank you, Hal. It's a pleasure to be reconnected with you and on a new platform. Of course, I'm used to KRXA, the fantastic community-driven radio station that you were such an instrumental part of. So you're on a new platform.
I am. This is our YouTube live stream, and YouTube makes it really easy. I'm not always thrilled working so closely with big tech, and obviously it's the belly of the beast, right? With big tech, and I think they said, right? Bryn said first thing, don't do evil or something, and they do a lot of evil, but they also provide an incredible service. I can put all this out there with you. People can see us. People can call in, and it costs me almost nothing. Just the tech, the hardware is it. Everything else it's amazing. It's incredible what you can do.
Well, again, we are all complicit, and we have to use what tools are necessary, what tools we have access to. And I know you, Hal, so I know you're not going to be capitulating to the corporate masters or otherwise censoring yourself. So let's just have an honest conversation as long as they allow us to do so.
All right. Well, we're going to talk for about 15, 20 minutes, maybe up to a half hour. David's so generous with his time. And I do want the focus to be on you're one of the co-hosts, let's put it that way, of the summit. People can see it right on the screen. Decolonizing Economic Summit, the 4th annual post-capitalism conference. You don't actually have to go to beautiful northern coastal California, right, David? You can do this online.
It is absolutely true. It is a virtual conference. There is an in-person Earth Day celebration happening on April 22, but I do want to underscore that this is an amazing conference. It's the 4th year we've done it. Last year, we had over 1,000 people participate. This year, we expect even more. But the whole point is that this is a space to exchange ideas about how to decolonize economics, politics, social institutions, how we can strengthen existing alliances and relationships and networks, and bluntly, to devise strategies and implement them to move away from the power over dominator capitalist economic system that we're in towards the power with collaborative, regenerative society that we know we deserve.
Yeah, I just think that's beautiful. And I put in, when I was promoting this live stream today, David, over the past few weeks, really with the question, what can we do? Obviously, things aren't good in a lot of ways for so many people in our country and around the world, perhaps worse. We're very fortunate, or less unfortunate, many of us are, than we might be. But we are all looking for answers. Maybe the political, we say we live in a democracy. We hope it's responsive to us. We know it isn't. If you're poor, struggling, or a working person, even middle class, you have very, very little influence. Is the Decolonizing Economic Summit going to address that unfortunate situation?
Well, yes, and not but. Yes, and. Hal, you and I got to know each other through my work with the Green Party, and we always had fantastic conversations. At that time, I spent a lot of time in electoral politics. I still do electoral politics, but I am no longer the electoral fetishist I once was. So I still engage in electoral politics, but as a secondary, even tertiary kind of way, because most of my work now is how do we meet people's needs to not just survive, but to thrive, to live the rich, meaningful lives that we can without exploitation, oppression. And again, I engage in electoral politics, but I've just come to find that there's so much more that we can do outside of electoral politics or in parallel to electoral politics. So I now spend most of my time doing things like community land trust and worker-owned cooperatives and participatory budgeting and public banking and universal basic income. I mean, these are things that can be done and are being done right now at the local level where we live, work, play, and pray to democratize the economy. And we don't have to wait for Congress to act. We don't have to wait for the neoliberals who control the Democratic Party to finally realize how important it is. We can literally do this work on our own and ultimately overgrow the government.
All right, he's David Cobb. I'm Hal Ginsberg. You're watching Politics. Please click like and subscribe in the bottom right corner. I've got that blue and white square. Pretty obvious. It just says Politics. Subscribe. I want to get to the ability to make change, David, given technology. We mentioned at the top of the hour the new platforms working where anyone can be a live streamer from their home. You're going to put Decolonizing Economics, the summit, online for virtual participation, which I plan to do. Do you see technology as potentially or even actually right now a democratizing influence?
The answer is yes. And of course, I'm not being a smartass. You asked, could it be, or will it be, or is it going to be harmful? And the answer is yes. And let's just break that down. I think it's important what you're asking to contextualize it. We are in the third wave of digital revolutions, right? And I'm going to back up a second and point out. So we had a wave of revolutionary transformation called the enclosure movement, where people were pushed off of land that they were in relationship with and stewarding. And this was, 1,000 years ago. Then we had the creation of the nation state. Then we had mercantilism. Then we had industrialism. Each wave that restructures how social, political, and economic relationships work changed society. The changes are coming faster and faster, Hal. And now we're in a digital revolution, right? We went from industrial capitalism to finance capitalism to now some sort of digital revolution. But now we're in the third stage of the digital revolution. The first stage was around communications itself. Like just 15, 20 years ago, there was no such thing as smartphones, right? Like we go down the list of just how transformational communications happened.
And let me just jump in. I just find that an amazing fact. I know I'm interrupting your flow and I'm sorry, but it's true. I mean, the smartphones came out 10 years ago or so, and it just feels like they've always been here to me anyway.
No, look, and this is the amazing thing, right? If you look at the next digital revolution wave, it's around computation itself, right? The ability to just process information. And that one is the second wave, and it's getting faster and faster. Like, I'm sure, if not, your viewers should know, it's genuinely true. My smartphone, your smartphone, has more computational ability than NASA had when they launched the rocket ships to the moon. That's a true statement, like more computational power in our hands than all of NASA had available at the time. So it's a true revolution. The third digital revolution is just underway, and it's around fabrication and manufacturing, right? Now, I want to point something out, Hal. Every one of those digital revolutions created billionaires, and it was completely disruptive. But a few monopolies completely ended up owning the technology, right? Any one of those could have been democratized and been used to greatly transform for the better our lives. My point is this. I do believe that the digital fabrication, we are at the beginning of it. And if we democratize 3D printing and laser printing and what's known as additive manufacturing technologies and processes, that we could literally use it to democratize the entire political economy. But it will only happen if people like you and me and your viewers and listeners get actively involved and struggle over and fight for the ability to control and own and participate with that technology.
All right, let's talk about the conference, because it sounds like that's part of what this is going to be about. How do we democratize, and I guess, as Tom Hartman might say, make part of the commons the technology that we're discussing? And again, let me digress for a moment, because I'm not really a techie. I guess I'm kind of a jack of all trades, and maybe I like to think I'm a master of one, but probably none. It's like I said before, the technology, the software, it's so much is open source now. I don't pay for any of this. There's, it's all through Linux. The code is freely available. I don't pay for my graphical software. I don't pay for the broadcast. It's not like I'm stealing it. It's just out there to download for anybody.
That's right. And you're learning to do it. And by the way, can I take a moment to just point something out? The phrase that you're quoting from is actually a compliment. It comes from Shakespeare, like so much in the English language does. And the full phrase is, quote, "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." It was literally a compliment. And what it said is that there are some entrepreneurs that actually, if you understand how to do a lot of things decently, you're better off than somebody who knows how to do only one thing well.
I think I call that ADD, but maybe it's something else.
Tom Hartman and I are both ADHD, diagnosed with ADHD, and we call it a superpower.
Join the club.
Properly channeled.
I don't call it a superpower. Do you have a kids with them? You may not. Maybe they have it. I don't know. It can be a double-edged sword at best. Let's put it that way. But now let's because we have a limited amount of time, and it's really, this is how we change, right? Because we see the political system is kind of designed to thwart us. So gathering in discrete groups with shared values, building strategy, that's creating a strategy and following it is how we can really make a better world.
There's no doubt about it. Look, let's be crystal clear about something, Hal. Transformational change in this country has always required a mass movement of people who were cohesive and had a common strategy and plan. There did have to be an electoral arm of the movement, but they also had to actually be making people's lives better, right? And so that whether it was the abolitionist movement or the women's suffrage movement or the workers' empowerment movement, I mean, all of them followed the same trajectory. So our conference is a place to gather practitioners who are already doing this work to share best practices and teach others what we are learning in a non-sectarian, non-dogmatic way, to teach people what we've learned about these different processes and how we can build an explicitly post-capitalist society using the solidarity economy framework. We move away from capitalism, which is about exploitation, oppression, commodifying labor, private ownership of everything, profit maximization. We move away from that towards solidarity, towards equity across all dimensions, race, ethnicity, nationality, gender, sexual orientation, towards genuine participatory decision-making processes and returning to the kind of ecological sustainability that all humans once lived in. Because I want to conclude with this, Hal. Remember that you, and every one of your listeners and viewers descend from indigenous people. I'm going to say that again. Every human being descends from people who were indigenous to somewhere, which means that they were rooted in right relationship with the land, in a reciprocal relationship with land, with water, and with our cousins, all of life. And we can get back to that, right? If we follow those who know the way.
All right, I just want to again remind folks that if you're interested in David, and it's not just David, okay, so let me be real clear. Is it the U.S. Solidarity Economy Network that's ultimately sponsoring this?
Listen, it's actually the three main sponsors are the Wiyot Tribes Dishkama Community Land Trust, a multitude of different faculty members and departments from Cal Poly Humboldt, and the U.S. Solidarity Economy Network. Those are the three main anchors. But we've probably got another 25 sponsoring organizations who are throwing down with us.
All right, so let me just be real clear. The website, decolonizingeconomicssummit.org. And I don't have that link on the screen right now, but it's in the description. So anyone who's watching this live stream or the recording thereafter can just simply click that link. You can sign up. Please, if you can, if you have a little bit of extra money, please contribute. It would be very nice because this costs, obviously nothing's free in this world. Even if some software is free, most things have real expenses involved. So if you can afford it, please, a nice contribution to decolonizingeconomicssummit.org would be nice. And you can RSVP at no charge, either in person as an individual or online. But again, if you're in a position, I hate to ask people for money because I know times are tough, but I'm not asking you for me. I'm asking for the summit itself. And really, this is to make a better world. It is.
I want to be perfectly clear, Hal, like really, decolonizingeconomicssummit.org, there is a no cost opportunity. No one will be turned away for lack of funds, right? So if you can make a donation, fine. But the most important thing is to connect with us and let's build the world that we so desperately need and so richly deserve.
It's so amazing what you're doing, David. Every time I check in on you, I guess I'm in awe because the energy that you have is, to do all the things that you do and have done requires just an extraordinary amount of energy. And,
thank you for the compliment, Hal. Thank you for the compliment. And I know that it is sincere. And I'll say this. I actually have a spiritual and political practice that goes like this. I try to be clear, level-headed about what is happening, right? And then I say, all right, how can I best offer my gifts and skills and talents to try to create the world that I want? Then I try to engage in implementing that, a practice, right? So theory, then practice. And then and here's the spiritual part, and it's very hard. It's easy to say, but hard to do. You ready? Release the result. I no longer think that I have the responsibility to succeed. I don't have the responsibility to make the world a better place. All I have the responsibility for is to do my best. That's in my spiritual practice, the goddess, however people think about cosmology. Like my responsibility is to just do my best. And as long as I do my best and I can succeed in just letting it go and say, well, at the end of the day, I did my best, then I can sleep well at night. I can be happy. I can be healthy. And I can literally be happy even in the midst of all this oppression and injustice, because the righteous anger that I have about how horrible things are has been like alchemy converted into joy because I'm doing my best to overturn it. I'm genuinely doing my best. And whether I succeed or not is not up to me. I don't have agency over you or your viewer or listener. I'm doing my best to persuade and inspire you to join me and others to win a new world. But if I don't, that's okay. I did my best.
That's just beautiful stuff. I want to get into that spiritualism or goddess or whatever you want to call it in a moment. I do want to just quickly through the goals we put them on. We want people to understand because this is coming up in I think about less than 2 weeks. It'll be starting a week from
10 days away,
Friday,
April 20. 10 days.
So it's Thursday, right? It's a week from
Correct.
Thursday, and then includes Friday, and then Saturday is the end. And so you can see the goals up there. And, you were talking, David, about goals because you were talking about equity and you were talking about coming together to practice true democracy where the group itself agrees on general principles and then on how to get there. But I have to say this, and I push back if I'm wrong. It seems to me that anytime we get together, we do need to have a broad shared assumptions about what a good life looks like, what a good society or a great society looks like. To me, and we've talked about this before, healthy food, relax, real time to wind down, meaningful remunerative employment. And when I say remunerative, that provides you with sufficient means to live a rich, fulfilling life, relationships, culture, a time for retirement when you reach a certain age, education for the entirety of your life, and then a death that is I'm trying to word dignified.
Yes, look, of course you're right. And I do want to say, like, we're bringing people together who share a core set of core principles, values, and beliefs. Like, we may have disagreement about how to achieve a peaceful, just, and compassionate world. We may have differences of opinion about what exactly a society premised on love and compassion and kindness would look like. But this is not a space for fascists. This is not a space for people who are trying to create the worldview based on domination and power over and racism and hate. Like, I know that those people exist, Hal, and I'll engage with them, but this is not the space for that. Like, this is a place where people who are coming intentionally with the idea of learning about how to decolonize economics, right? How to build a post-capitalist society. So we can argue about how to do that, but if you don't think that we should do that, we'll just kick you out, like straight up. Like, we're not pretending like this is a space to debate if we should decolonizing economics or creating a post-capitalist society. We can talk about how, but this is for people who are already answered the question, we need to do this.
All right, we've got David with us I promised him he's very, very busy. He's being generous with his time. We got to get a hard break out of here at 30 after, so we'll go just for 5-6 more minutes, and then we'll let David run. One thing you were talking about is you do the best you can, and then once you've done your utmost, you let it go. I use the term flush. Once, if I make a mistake, right, and I make them all the time, I just, after I try to think, I do my best. We all of us have our, where we're going to dwell, right? But it doesn't help. You have to move on, and I'll examine it. What did I do wrong? Is there a reason for this that I can identify? How in the future can I reduce the likelihood of making this mistake? And then flush it and then move on. And you can do that, I think. And I want your take on this, by just re-engaging, by getting back to your nose to the, maybe take a break, listen to music, have something to eat that you enjoy, what have you, but then getting back into it where you're again making the change that you want to make and you want to be.
I love it. One of my favorite poets is Maya Angelou, and she said it so well, so simply, and so beautifully. Here's her quote, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Period." Right? And to me, that really allows us to simply say, look, do your best for real. And if you make a mistake, own it, right? And my mama had a great saying that she taught me, Hal. It goes like this. "Oh, did you make that mistake today? I hope that's the worst mistake you make. What a great day you're going to have." Right? Because it really says, look, you're going to make mistakes. And lastly, remember this. Everybody makes mistakes. And you know what? We're all better than the mistakes that we make.
Well, that's what being human is too. I mean, nobody, you can't, you have to be a god or a machine to be perfect. And even machines break down after a while. Last time we spoke, there was one Democratic challenger to President Biden, Marianne Williamson. Now there are two. You have challenged incumbents as a presidential challenger in the Green Party, which I am more and more seeing all of the attractions, the charms of the Green Party. Where do you stand on challenges within the Democratic Party? And can you address, I know I'm throwing you this curveball, but you talked about electoral politics. So 1/6 of the time, we're going to talk a little bit about that.
So look, Hal, first of all, I am a Green, and I'm proud to be a Green. But I also work with progressive Democrats all the time, right? And so I never make party labels or party affiliation turn an ally into an enemy. I also want to point out something. Marianne Williamson, when she announced, began immediately polling at about 10%. That tells me that there is a hunger within the Democratic Party for something different than the neoliberal diet that they're being force-fed through Joe Biden and the neoliberal leadership. RFK, I've got like some problems with his anti-vax stuff, but nonetheless, he represents also another contingency within the Democratic Party. I will be watching very closely to see what happens, but mark my words, if either Robert F. Kennedy Jr. or Marianne Williamson begin to seriously challenge the neoliberal Democratic Party establishment, they'll do to them what they did to Bernie Sanders, which is lie, cheat, and steal, because the Democratic Party leadership would rather lose to Republicans than to allow genuine, honest-to-goodness progressives to control that party. I wish it wasn't true. I wish I didn't see it with such clarity, but that's what history teaches me.
Yeah, I'm with you there, David. And we used to debate also the help or the whether change could come from within the Democratic Party. I took the side, possibly, yes, we should at least try. I won't say you said no, but it was all of our disagreements have always been nuanced. But I tended to be more of let's try to change the party. You were more let's try to change parties. And I've kind of come to your position.
Well, it's interesting,
I don't
right?
know, maybe you've gone back.
Listen, no, I haven't.
I just can't see. I guess if Marianne Williams or RFK Jr. became president, or if Bernie had, I think they would have become Democrats, the kind we have right now, like the Joe Bidens and sadly even the AOCs that we, moving to the right.
Listen, I think you're right. And you are certainly right that all of our disagreements were nuanced. They were also principled disagreements. They were civil discussions. We had some really great debates, and they were absolutely debates, but they were always coming from a place of sincere dignity for each other and respect for each other. And you're right. My memory is you were always, look, it's probably more likely that change will come from within the Democratic Party. And I would say it's probably more likely that it's going to come outside, right? Like both of us were willing to say, hey, you might be right. But I haven't changed my belief.
I have. I don't think it's likely to come. I think change is very, very hard. It's always hard. But this monolith that's the Democratic Party is just so resistant to change. And I think they may have learned lessons from FDR when they probably changed more than they wanted.
Well, listen, I think it's worth pointing out again that everything that the Democrats now lift up as, oh, look how liberal or progressive we are, were things that were actually built outside the Democratic Party, right? The abolition of slavery, women getting the right to vote, the creation of the Social Security Administration, unemployment insurance, workers' compensation laws, pure food and drug laws, ending child labor, every single one of those things that Democrats did ultimately champion, they had to be initiated outside of the Democratic Party, right? And in the case of slavery, it was actually the Republican Party as a third party that initially advocated for it. I'm just pointing out that my read of history goes like this. Every time that progressives begin to try to work within the Democratic Party, they are ultimately told to sit down and shut up, right? And then the read that I have is, oh, actually, if we create a mass movement outside the Democratic Party, we can force the Democratic Party to shift. But I'm more interested now in transforming the entire I'm a revolutionary, but I'm a peaceful revolutionary. So I think that the way we do it is not to wait for elected leaders. We just start doing it ourselves.
David, I am mindful of your time. I thank you so much for sharing it with us today. I wish you the best. I'll see you in 10 days.
See you in 10 days, and I hope to see the rest of you there. Decolonizing Economics, that's 2 S's, Decolonizing Economics Summit.org, totally free. See you there. Peace.
All right. And peace to you too. And David's out of here. I'm going to just take a little bit of time to talk to you folks, and then we'll be calling this a relatively short call. So probably just a few more minutes, but there they are, the two challengers. Marianne Williamson, RFK. And I thought David sort of threw me for a loop there. Let me see if I can he kind of threw me for a loop there when he said, I thought he was going to say that he would support either one. And he didn't say that at all. He said that if either one won, they, or was getting close, right, was approaching success, they would quickly be, just attacked or, challenged very, very aggressively. And I don't think that can be any doubt about it. So, any real change, the Democrat Party is incredibly resistant to. And I have my problems with both of these candidates. David talked about RFK's anti-vax stance. I have a problem with that. I get where it's coming from. I don't think it's totally rules him out, but I have a problem with it. And, I'm not thrilled with Marianne Williamson and the woo-woo stuff at all, the crystals, the spiritualism. No. So, I don't know what we do, right? I don't know the answer. And we heard from David. I guess I do know. I know the answer can't come alone from electoral politics. And that's why we are looking at great events like deconstructing economics. What is it? Colonial economics. That's what we're really looking to do. And I'm sure I got the name wrong. So let me get it one more time. Decolonizing. What did I say? Deconstructing. Decolonizing Economics Summit.org. Please do check it out, folks. And also, please like and subscribe. I would love, just to, get some more folks watching, viewing, and calling. No calls today. That's fine. We're good without the calls. I know a lot of people check in later. The latest few videos have really seen a big boost in viewership, in clicks. So that's awesome. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be on my regular time live. That's 11 Eastern time. Look forward to seeing you then or whenever you can make it. And one last time, David, thank you so much. My good friend, my great ally in the progressive movement, in the movement to make things just a little better for all of us. Thank you.